Hello and welcome to the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center. My name is Issachar Bey, and I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. If this is your first time joining us, please let us know what city, what state, or what country you're listening in from. In the chat, let us know. We welcome you, and we want to say if you have not done so, please hit the like button, and also uh, hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified of when we are uploading new content and also making the availability of these lectures. Uh, we are here every week, same place, same time. So definitely invite your friends, your family, your loved ones, those who you believe would need to hear these teachings, who would need to hear something that will uplift them and allow them to move along and elevate their lives. And so we want to say thank you. Um, it was brought to my attention that one of the links in the bottom of the description last week wasn't working for consultations. So we fixed it. Once again, those of you who are looking to book a consultation, you're basically saying, you've been talking about all of this good stuff about wealth and prosperity, and you've been talking about becoming a money magnet. You've been talking about all of these great things. And as we move into 2026, I kind of want to know which direction I'm moving in. Where do I need to be? Where do I need to start? I have an idea of what I would like to experience in 2026, but I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to begin. And if that sounds like you, definitely reach out, schedule a session with me. We can go ahead and get you um, in position to win. Winners always win. Losers will always lose. And that's why we teach the consciousness of winning. Winners will always win. And it's imperative that we have the drive, that we have the desire to want to be better versions of ourselves, that we want to do things that we never done before. We want to experience things we've never experienced before. Life is about learning and expanding. And so I don't want to have the same year I had this year in 2026. I want a new, exciting year, a year full of great excitement, full of abundance, full of learning, full of expansion, full of multiple streams of income that will come forward. I want to experience new things. I want to experience things that will stretch me, that will elevate me, that will lift me to a new level, a new height. And because of that, because of my declaration, because of my decree, I understand the preliminaries that must take place. So when we teach about coming a money magnet and we teach about all of these different things, we have to realize where we are personally, because a lot of us are not in the position that we need to be. And so what happens is we have to now get ourselves in a position to do some of the things that we're setting forth to do. And it may not be as comfortable. It may not be as easy as you think it is. And realizing that work that needs to be put in, the changing of attitude, maybe the changing of mindset, the changing of habits, all of those things take time because we've been doing them for so long. We've been doing the same thing every day for years. And now we've come to a moment that we want to make a change, and we want it to happen overnight. And it doesn't necessarily happen that way because we have to put in the work to really redefine, redevelop, restore, reprogram. And so it's inevitable that we will get to the place that we need to be in, but it is going to take work. It is going to take responsibility. It's going to take accountability. And so I'm excited about your future, and I believe that what's coming is better than what's been. happy thing, um, and happy holidays with the family. I know that difficult times sometimes for a lot of people who don't have a family, who don't have loved ones, who don't have uh, somebody who they can connect with. And this time of the year is usually can be very critical for some. So I want you to know that here at the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center, reach out to us. Let us know if you want to talk, if you want somebody to connect with you, because we are here with you. You have a family here. You have loved ones here. You have people who care about you. You have people who love you. And so if you feel yourself in a position where you are in a critical moment, you feel alone, it's the holiday season, you don't have anybody, and you're feeling just isolated, I want you to know that the Temple of Enlightenment is here for you. And we are available. So we're putting that out there for all of those. I do know that this can be a rough time for some of them. And so, I want to extend that out to you guys. As you get into a quiet position and you quiet your mind, quiet your thoughts, quiet every aspect of your life, and just go into a deep quietness. I want you to take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. I want you to take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. I want you to take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. Right where you are, there is one presence moving, one power expressing, one intelligence designing every dimension of your life. This power is not outside of you, it is in you. It breathes as you, thinks as you, creates as you, expands as you. I identify this presence as the infinite source, the eternal fountain of supply, the eternal fountain of substance, opportunity, and abundance. There is no lack in this presence. There is no delay in this presence. There is no denial in this presence. There is only fullness, overflow, and unlimited potential waiting to be shaped by consciousness. Right now, I speak this sacred word. Your mind is open. Your spirit is receptive. Your consciousness is rising. Your identity is shifting. Your inner world is recalibrating. Every false belief about money collapses. Every generational limitation dissolves. Every inherited poverty pattern ends. Every old financial script burns in the fire of truth. You now align with the divine economy where supply is infinite, ideas are abundant, resources are countless, and wealth flows as easily as breath. You are wealthy by being, wealthy by consciousness, wealthy by identity, wealthy by divine design. And so it is, and so it is. Once again, I want to thank you, those of you tuning in today. Same place, same time. We're here every week. Go ahead and hit the like button for us, and it help us raise our algorithms. And so we are forever grateful for your presence today. We ask that you continue to invite people if you find that these teachings and that this content is something that elevates you, that motivates you, and you feel that there's somebody that needs to hear this, go ahead and hit the share button, grab the link, email it, text it to them, let them know that we're here. We're continuing on the road to 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, 2026 will be here before you know it. What does 2026 look like for you? What does it look like for you? Are you ready for 2026? Today, I want to continue with our 2026 teaching, Wealthy by Design. I want to get into that because I believe that nothing happens by mistake. There's no accidents in life. There's no mistakes. There's no accidents. There's no maybes. There's no hopes. There's no accidents. No, everything happens for a reason. And so, if that in fact is true, then for every cause, there's an effect. Some people say, well, I want the effect of being wealthy. Well, then if you want the effect of being wealthy, then you have to produce the cause. Because for every cause, there's an effect. And wealthy comes as being by design. Nobody becomes wealthy by mistake. Nobody becomes wealthy by accident. My definition of wealthy is a person who can finance their own dreams. The financing of one's own dreams, to me, dictates that you are wealthy. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you want to manifest, whatever it is that you want to pull out of the ethers of your mind, you can finance it. I want to look at this real quick. There's a woman named Naomi Carter. She worked long hours, paying bills, staying out of trouble, and she survived the cycle of just enough. But secretly, Naomi had a silent ache, a knowing she was meant for more, yet trapped in a pattern she couldn't name. One night, after a draining day, she sat alone in her living room and whispered, "Why does life feel like this? Why do I keep recreating the same story over and over again?" And in the quiet, something within her whispered back, "Because you never designed the life you want. You only inherited the life you were given." It hit her like a spiritual earthquake. She realized her life was not shaped by her dreams. It was shaped by her programming, her consciousness, her identity, her emotional patterns, her unspoken beliefs, her assumptions about money, worth, abundance, and possibility. Naomi didn't need a new job. She didn't need a miracle. She needed a new mind. She began to reconstruct her inner world. She rewrote her self-concept. She redesigned her assumptions. She restructured her beliefs. She evaluated her frequency. She practiced wealth consciousness rituals daily. She embodied the version of herself she had always imagined. And life rearranged itself around her new identity. Naomi didn't chase wealth. Wealth found her because she became its match. She became wealthy by design. Now, in that story about Naomi, one of the most powerful takeaways from me was when she yelled out, "Why does life feel like this? Why do I keep recreating the same story?" And then the quiet something within her whispered, "Because you never designed the life you want, you only inherited it, the life you were given." And that's powerful to me, because how many of us are not living a life that we designed? We're living a life that was given to us, and we just took it, and we just, whatever happens, happens. But I want to say this, because many of you may not have known until today that you have the power to redesign your life. That, yes, they say all the time, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. A lot of people don't know how to make lemonade. A lot of people don't know what to do with the lemons when life gives them to them. But how many people are living a life that was just given to them, and they never had the opportunity to live a life that they could redesign? When we look at wealthy, when we look at wealthy by design, there's a couple things I want to look at today. And it is my prayer, it is my intention that somebody today, after listening to this teaching, will go from financial survival to divine economy, from a scarcity identity to a wealthy identity, from an outer struggle to inner mastery, from money chasing to money commanding, from default reality to designed reality. The first thing I want to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, you are the source. The greatest lie ever told about money is that it comes from a job, it comes from people, it comes from the economy, it comes from luck, it comes from opportunity, it comes from hard work, it comes from qualifications, it comes from connections. Money comes from consciousness. Consciousness is your only reality. Consciousness, ladies and gentlemen, is currency. It may take you some time to really absorb that and really take that in when you understand consciousness. Consciousness is our only reality. How many of us now wish that we could go back, and what we know now, we can go back 20, 30 years ago, or 15 years ago, or 20 years ago? What happens is, what happened 15, 20 years ago, you weren't conscious of what you know now. So you would say, oh my God, I wish I could go back. For what I know now, if I can go back and turn back the hands of time, because you are now at a level of consciousness that you were not at 15, 20 years ago. It's the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. Money is consciousness. And when you realize that the level of money that you make is all dependent on your level of consciousness. Your consciousness is what allows you to receive and live the life that you want to live. Remember, the world is your mirror, not your master. The world mirrors your consciousness. So if you have a poverty consciousness, if you have a consciousness all about uh, uh, difficult patterns and difficulties and drama and all kind of disruption, life will mirror that. Life will mirror that. But when you have a consciousness of wealth, a consciousness of prosperity, a consciousness of unlimited supply, what happens is you elevate your life. Now listen, some of you may say the reason we teach this at the Temple of Enlightenment, we teach you guys this. As within, so without. Everything starts within. Everything starts within. You could become a millionaire. We talked about this the other week, about a woman who won $400 million in the lottery, and 2 years later she was broke. She lost it all because she didn't have it consciously. You have to have it consciously, because once you have it consciously, it'll never leave you. Even if it's physically taken away, you'll get it right back again, because life will mirror what you have, ladies and gentlemen, on the conscious level. You are not the receiver of wealth. You are the generator of wealth. Your consciousness sends the signal. Your identity gives the command. Your frequency does the attracting. Your embodiment does the holding. Your belief shapes the outcome. Money does not start outside. Money is a shadow of your internal energy. To change the shadow, you must change the source. I want you to do this real quickly. Place your hand on your chest and say this very quickly. I am the source. I am the generator. I am the designer. Money is not my master. It is my mirror. I want to say that again. Put your hand across your chest and say it out loud. I am the source. I am the generator. I am the designer. Money is not my master. It is my mirror. When you say that over and over again, ladies and gentlemen, you are reprogramming your subconscious mind. Your identity begins to rise. Your capacity expands. Wealth is an identity, not an income. I want us to understand that, ladies and gentlemen. When I say wealthy is not about how much money you have. When we correlate how much money a person has, we looking at they're rich. You know, this person has, for instance, just yesterday I was watching The Diary of a CEO. It's a podcast, and Kevin Hart is on there because he has a new Netflix stand-up special coming out tomorrow. But on the podcast, he talked about all the companies he has, how much money he made, his elevation from being poor to where he is now. The reason I'm saying that is because wealthy is not based on how much money you have. To be wealthy is an identity. You identify as wealthy. And that identifying yourself as wealthy has nothing to do with the income. Wealth does not come when you acquire money. Wealth comes when you acquire the identity that can hold money. Let me say that again. I want you to understand that. Wealth comes when you acquire the identity that can hold the money. See, when you identify as wealthy, you start to elevate in that level of consciousness. When you start to elevate in that level of consciousness, you start to talk like the wealthy. You start to walk like the wealthy. You start to speak like the wealthy, right? You start to do everything like the wealthy. Your consciousness is wealthy. And what happens is, it's not based on what you have, it's based on who you are. You never get out of life what you become. You never get out of life what you want. You always get out of life by what you are. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, this talk today is called Wealthy by Design. Not I hope I can become wealthy. Maybe I'll become wealthy. Maybe one day I'll become wealthy. I'll pray and see if it's in my stars, if it's in the stars for me to become wealthy. No, 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 no. Wealthy by design. If you see yourself as a struggler, money slips away from you. If you see yourself as a survivor, money fluctuates. If you see yourself as unworthy, money avoids. If you see yourself as small, opportunities shrink. If you see yourself as powerful, doors open. If you see yourself as wealthy, wealth aligns. I love being able to talk to myself, and I really hope that you guys are doing the same thing. Not so much talking to yourself, but speaking out loud, just putting it into the atmosphere. One of the things you should do every morning is say, what is the wealthiest version of me doing today? When you start to elevate and ask yourself that question, it just opens up so many things to incorporate into your consciousness that I'm operating into wealthiness. I'm identifying as wealthy. You must design wealth before you can receive it. You never build a house without a blueprint. Yet people try to build wealth with no design. Your mind must hold the structure before your life can express the structure. Your mind must hold the structure before your life can express the structure. Before I can walk in the wealthy identity, before I can walk in that design, I have to first see the design in my mind. I have to first see it. Go into the theater of your mind, ladies and gentlemen, and begin to see, what does it look like for me to be wealthy? How does that feel? How does it look? How does it smell? How does it taste for me to be wealthy? You have to see it in your theater of the mind, because my mind must hold it first. If I can't hold it in my mind, I can't express it in my physical reality. Why? Because life, the world, is my mirror. So if I don't have it inside, I can't have it outside. That's why sometimes people, I wouldn't say they cheat, but what happens is they fall on lucky times, or they fall on times where they receive things that they have not connected with on the inside. Yes, the lady fell on a windfall and won 400 million, but she didn't have the wealthy consciousness inside, because as soon as she got it, it was taken away. A wealthy life requires a wealthy eternal template. You have to start speaking like, my wealthy self thinks, my wealthy self believes, my wealthy self expects, my wealthy self tolerates. And then you realize that you match your behavior to those answers. You begin to understand that you start thinking like the wealthy. And see, somebody will say, well, what I, if I'm doing these things, how do I know what the wealthy thinks like? What happens is, when you start operating in this level of consciousness, you start having different desires. The things that used to satisfy you won't satisfy you anymore. The things that you used to love to do, for some reason, they don't do it for you no more. You start having different feelings about things. You probably would change the food you eat. Just things will begin to change, but the change happens inwardly first. You have a feeling like, you know what? I used to do this every weekend. This is not doing it for me anymore. You start being more of a desire of things that have to do with being wealthy and understanding the rich and the successful. Energy is the only currency. This is where most people have a big issue with, because a lot of people think wealthy while feeling scarcity. They feel wealthy while they're embodying fear. They feel wealthy by projecting doubt. They try to think wealthy by carrying shame. And they try to think wealthy and begin as they're radiating lack. Your frequency is your true wealth. Wealth has a vibration. You know, just like we have blood pressure, and if your blood pressure goes too high, the body lets you know something is wrong. If your blood pressure goes too low, the body lets you know that something is wrong. There's a certain number that it's supposed to be that's regulated, and this is where it's supposed to be. The same thing, wealth has a vibration. It has a number. It has a status that when you get to that level, you understand and you understand the status quo of what's happening. That vibration, when you reach that level, it's a calm certainty. It's a grounded expectation. It brings you into a great openness. You are now at a nice ease. You start moving into expansion. You start moving into inner worthiness. You start looking into peace and power. You know, you cannot think rich while feeling poor. You cannot affirm abundance while living in survival. You cannot manifest overflow while radiating constriction. One of the things that I loved in the interview with Kevin Hart was he talked about where he started and where he's at now. And he's talking about the wealth consciousness and how he was able to connect with all these companies. He did the stand-up. He started doing the movies. From the movies, he started doing the arenas, and now he does stadiums. But even at that level, he started hooking up with Chase. He started hooking up with DraftKings, all these other companies. You see him in the Chase credit card commercials, and he talked about the connections to people and how he has ownership in those companies. He owns stock in those companies. And he talks about the connections of major investments that he has. And so he talks about his day-to-day problems or issues is him putting fires out, finding solutions to problems. And he says that one of the things he's learned at this level is when to walk away and say, I'm done for the day. Because he says that he can keep going and going. He said it's very, when you get to that level, it can be very stressful. And so he says that it elevates your mind. It elevated him to see him going from where he was to where he is now. He's probably the richest comedian, black comedian, outside of maybe Bill Cosby. I would say, they have him listed at around 500 to 600 million. I think Eddie Murphy is at 200 million. I know at one time Bill Cosby was a billionaire, so I'm not sure what happened, but I'm pretty sure he's still heavily invested. But as a black comedian right now, today, I think Kevin Hart is probably one of the richest, if not the richest comedian. And I'm sure you guys can Google and fact check it, amongst yourselves. But when we look at wealth and we look at the wealthy by design, his story is amazing because he designed it. He when you watch the interview, he goes through how he got there and what he did and how he was able to put himself in a position to win. And one of the things that I loved about him is he says all throughout life, he's always been the dumbest person in the room. And the interviewer says, what do you mean by that? He says, because I've always asked questions. He says, I always want to know, well, how do you do this? And how does this work? And how does this work? And if I do this, how will it affect this? If I do that, how will it affect this? And he asked questions and questions until he got understanding. And all thy getting, in all thy ways, get understanding. He wanted to understand the game. He wanted to understand how the wealthy play the game. He wanted to understand why do the wealthy do this and why do they do that and what about this and what about that. Just like a little kid who's always inquiring and always asking questions. Never stop asking questions. Life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. We have so much information in front of us with AI, with just so much stuff that's going on right now that you have it in your hands. Never stop asking questions. Never stop learning. Never stop expanding. One of the things that we have to learn how to do is reset the frequency. Whenever fear arises in your life, I put together a little thing that I like to do. When fear arises, the first thing I do is stop. I inhale, take a deep breath, exhale. I drop my shoulders, lift my chest, and I say this. I choose abundance. I choose certainty. I choose overflow. I choose abundance. It changes my frequency. Whenever I feel afraid of something or this level of me not understanding or feeling like something is wrong or something is happening, I find myself putting myself in a position to where I can now grow and expand. One of the things that we have to realize is that supply is always present. It's always present. In the divine economy, there is no shortage. There is no competition. There is no lack. There is no delay. There is only infinite supply waiting for direction. There is only infinite supply waiting for direction. Money flows towards vision, purpose, identity. There's that word identity again. I identify as wealthy. Confidence, service. Now, I love the word service. There's nobody on this earth who's wealthy that does not provide a service. Nobody. Anybody who's wealthy provides a service. Kevin Hart, he provides a service. He's a comedian. He makes people laugh. Not only does he do that, he created his own company where he gives other comedians the opportunities to display their talents. Not only does he do that, he's an actor in movies. He entertains people. People go to the movies and for 2.5 hours, they block out the world and they go into his world and laugh and enjoy themselves, and he provides a service. Oprah Winfrey provides a service. Tyler Perry provides a service. There's nobody that's wealthy that does not provide a service. Money flows towards consistency. Money flows towards alignment. And so I love this because the vision is important. If you can't see yourself being wealthy, nobody else can. You know, one of the most difficult things in life is when you see somebody who's so gifted, who's so talented. I remember going to high school, and it was this basketball player that he was an amazing basketball player. I think he was better than I thought at the time he could beat anybody. He was amazing. Everybody saw his greatness. Everybody saw him for who he was, except for him. Vision is very important because if you can't see yourself being wealthy, if you can't see yourself becoming a money magnet, nobody else can. So you got to be able to see it for yourself. You got to be able to see it for yourself. Money flows towards clarity. And then I'm going to have to ask everybody listening, what service do you provide? We're moving into 2026. We got AI here, and a lot of people are afraid of AI. Let me tell you something. AI is a tool. Just like you use glasses, you put on your glasses that it'll help you see, right? You put on makeup that it will help you to look better. You put on a wig to help you with your outfit. That's AI. AI is a tool that we use. Now, one of the things that I found amazing, and I'll go here, one of the spiritual teachers was saying this, and he said, AI will not replace the doctor. It will not replace doctors. But any doctor who does not use AI will be replaced. Let me say that again. AI will not replace doctors. But any doctor who does not use AI will be replaced. I'm looking now at another situation where I've heard that billionaires are no longer hiring anybody who does not use AI. And the only reason I'm saying this to you guys is don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. It is a tool. You know, let me explain to you what AI is like. AI is like, for years, everybody's been walking. We've all been walking, and we've been driving, and now airplanes came out. And everybody's afraid of the airplane because they're saying, oh, it's this and it's that. But the airplane gets us to where we need to be quicker, more efficient, and faster. And that's what AI does. It gets us to where we need to be, more efficient, more equipped, more faster. But you have to understand that it is a tool. We're not putting everything, all our energy, and we're just saying, oh, AI is going to show us how to live and how to survive. No, we're saying that it is a tool. Just like I have an electric drill and I put the nail in there, and that electric drill is my AI. AI does the same thing for me. I can go get a regular screwdriver and screw the screw in. But I can go get an electric screwdriver that will be more efficient, faster, And ladies and gentlemen, that's what AI is. Don't be afraid of what you don't understand. And so moving into 2026 into the wealthy class, yes, it's going to be very, 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 very demanding that you incorporate yourself with some sort of knowledge of AI. We will see like the videos now; they're doing all kind of stuff. But anyway, what I would recommend is OpenAI, which is great. It's a great platform. They have the free version, then they have another version where you can upgrade to $20, and then they have the $200 a month. And then I started working with Perplexity. Perplexity is the AI I use to fact check and research things. So if I'm doing a talk on wealth by design and I want to pull up, 10 black billionaires, 10 black wealthy, I want to research and I want to pull from credible sources and I want accurate factual information, this AI app can help me. I can go to the library and stay in the library for 13 hours trying to conglomerate all of this information. But I can also go to AI and do the same thing, and it'll give me the information that doesn't take me 13 hours to do, but now give it to me more efficient and faster. And guess what? When I get the information, I still got to work it myself. So it's not like it's doing everything for me. It's a tool. I think that when we move into this, it definitely gets us into a place where we don't have to be afraid. But Perplexity is another one I use. It's a free version, and then there's a $20 a month. But Perplexity is for fact checking. Anything I want to know regarding astrology, anything I want to know fact checking about 1929. Could you tell me when Pluto entered Aquarius the first time, and back in the 1800s, or this back in the 1900s, or anything like that, any kind of factual information, that I'm working on, especially those of you that are into learning and that are into expanding your consciousness and say, tell me about the wealthy. Tell me about those who did this and those who did that. All right? So those are little things I want to throw at you. Money avoids. We talked about what money flows towards. I want to talk about what money avoids. Money avoids confusion. Anybody here who's ever wanted to buy something, and if you can't figure out where the checkout thing is, and you can't figure out how to get into the cart to put your stuff in there and see, if there's a confusion, you say, you know what, forget this. I'll do something. I'll go somewhere else and get it, because people don't buy when they're confused. Money is not about confusion. Money is about clarity. Money avoids fear. Money avoids indecision. You have to know how to make a decision. I'm going to go this way, that way, up, down, left, right. Money avoids shame. Money avoids guilt. Money avoids hesitation. And it's funny that money avoids hesitation, because I lived in Vegas for about 11 years. And I've never really been a big-time gambler or anything like that. But, I've seen people when they hesitated, who are gambling and playing with money, and they weren't sure and they hesitated, they would lose. It's almost like scared money don't win. When you're gambling and you have a confidence and you have a for sure, if you've ever seen somebody gambling, if they're like, I don't know, maybe should I put it on black 17? Should I put it on red 13? And you don't know, any kind of hesitation, scared money don't win. Self-sabotage. Money avoids self-sabotage. You can't self-sabotage yourself by putting yourself in those situations and those circumstances. And when that happens, we put ourselves in a position now where we have to rewire, we have to restore, we have to reprogram. And one of the things that I would recommend in the morning, you would say, is everything I need is already prepared. Every resource is already aligned. My only job is to receive. I think that's so wonderful. To wake up in the morning and make the declaration, make the decree that everything I need is already prepared. Every resource is already aligned. My only job today, ladies and gentlemen, is to receive. That's amazing. To wake up and put yourself in a position to receive. Wealth is spiritual laws expressed through physical decisions. You don't manifest wealth by sitting still. You manifest wealth by combining mindset, frequency, identity, and aligned action. Mindset, frequency, identity, and aligned action. And let me tell you something. That identity jumps out to me right away. So many of us don't have an identity of ourselves. We don't know who we are. And that's why I forever keep implementing and keep putting out there, you need to have a spiritual advisor. You need to have somebody that you can talk to, that can guide you, that can lead you, that can show you. And so I want to put that out for you. Listen to this. Identity, when you come out now everything in life is about identity, right? Who do you identify as? Are you black? Are you white? Hispanic? Are you heterosexual, gay, lesbian, transgender, right? Identity is so important. Those things now bring us to the point of identifying as wealthy. When somebody asks you, how do you identify yourself? You say, I identify as wealthy. That changes your concept. That changes your mindset. Because now it brings you into a level of action. And that action will bring the value to your life. Listen, create something valuable every week. Create something valuable. Improve something you already do. Eliminate something that's draining. Expand something that works. This will multiply your income effortlessly. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, let me say it again. Every week, remember, you manifest wealth by confining these four things: your mindset, your frequency, your identity, and aligned action. So now we move to the four things that we need to do every week. Create something valuable. Improve something you already do. Eliminate something that's draining. Expand something that's working. Ladies and gentlemen, your space dictates your wealth. You cannot create abundance in a space that speaks lack. Your environment teaches your subconscious what is normal. Your environment teaches your subconscious what is normal. If your environment is cluttered, chaotic, unintentional, negligent, neglected, unorganized, your money will reflect the same. These steps get us into a mindset of operating in systems. Remember the word system, SYSTEM. Save yourself, save yourself time, energy, and money. That's what a system does for you, ladies and gentlemen. A system sets yourself up. It saves you time, energy, and money. And we all know that time is the only thing that cannot be replaced. Each day, 15 minutes each day, clear one surface, remove 5 items, organize one area, upgrade one object, wipe down your workspace. Your subconscious mind receives the message. We live in abundance now. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, your environment teaches your subconscious what's normal. Your environment, it teaches your subconscious what's normal. Most people lose wealth because they never built the inner structure to sustain it. Receiving wealth requires this: emotional resilience, confidence, boundary mastery, worthiness, identity stability. Let's go that identity again. Because if you lose your identity, you can't identify as, who do you identify as? You're confused. You're lost. Remember, the world is your mirror. So if you lose your identity, that's why it says here identity stability. You have to maintain that identity. Because if you lose your identity, the world will mirror that. It will give you the confusion. It will give you the lost. It will give you the, I feel out here on alone. I don't know who I am. I don't know what's going on. Identity. That's why when you come to somebody like me, the first thing we want to establish is who you are. Because once we know who you are, we can now move into some other situations, and you know who you are now. So now it eliminates a lot of things, because it's not what you thought you were, it's not what you hoped you were, or maybe you were this, or maybe you were not this. But when you come into a level of identity, it changes the whole ball game here. Identity is everything. Once a week, do something that stretches your comfort zone. Make a bold decision. Raise a standard. Reinforce a boundary. Upgrade something small. Invest in your future self. Every stretch expands your capacity to hold wealth. And when you get ready to understand that, you get ready to understand what happens when, how I'm moving to this level of designing to be wealthy. I do a mindset reset, which declares abundance. I do an identity embodiment. It acts as my wealthy self. I do a value creation, which contributes. I use it daily. I do an environmental alignment, which keeps my space elevated. I do a capacity expansion, which stretches my comfort zone. move into stillness and listening so I can hear direction from within. I decree that your life shifts today. Your identity elevates today. Your consciousness expands today. Your financial story rewrites today. Your opportunities multiply today. Your inner world aligns with wealth today. Your outer world begins to mirror your new destiny today. You are the generator. You are the architect. You are the designer. You are the wealth. You are the abundance. You are the divine economy in human form. Wealth is not coming. Wealth is not approaching. Wealth is not on the way. Wealth is here because you are here. Wealth is now because you are now. Wealth is yours because it is you. And so it is, and so it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you guys got something out of today. I really thought this is a very powerful teaching today. I want to thank all of you for tuning in and being a part. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays. Once again, if you tuned in, I want to let you know this is also a very critical time during the holidays. If you're feeling that you're alone and you don't have any family, reach out to us. I want you to know you're family with us. The Enlightenment Center, the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center is your family. We love you. We care for you. Reach out to us, and we would love to connect with you to let you know that you're not alone. I also want to, if you guys want to be a blessing to our organization and you're saying that I love the teaching, I love what you've been doing, this is really good. This is really good food for my soul. And you want to be a blessing, there's 4 ways that you can give. Those 4 ways are going to be $ our Cash App, which is $TOESC. That's $TOESC. The other way that you can, the other thing that you can do is going to be Zelle and PayPal. Our Zelle and PayPal are going to be our email, which is going to be info, INFO, at TOESC.org. That's INFO at TOESC.org. And our last one is going to be Venmo, which is going to be Issachar Bey at gmail.com. And that's going to be ISSACHARBEY and at gmail.com. And then those of you that want to use Venmo, if you look in the bottom description, we also have our mailing address. If those of you that want to send a check or a money order to us, you can just make it out to the Temple of Enlightenment. And I want to thank all of you for your support, your consistency. Once again, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I want you to know also that your destiny is not a matter of chance, but it is a matter of choice. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.